Welcome to Her Money Audits, where I look at the budgets of real followers and tell you what I would do if it was my money. We're looking at Christine's budget. Christine is married but separated and living separately. So she sounds like she's maintaining her own household. She brings home $6,500 a month after taxes, and she works in healthcare administration. She has no emergency savings, and she has about $120,000 in debt, most of which belongs to student loans. Here is a breakdown of her monthly expenses as well as what she has budgeted for her variable spending. After monthly expenses and variable spending, like groceries, gas, eating out, shopping, Christine has $423 remaining. At least it appears that she has $423 remaining. Like all of us, Christine has some irregular expenses that she doesn't pay on a monthly basis, but they happen once a year or once a quarter on some irregular cadence. They include things like her HOA, her car insurance, her homeowner's insurance. Broke them up into monthly installments. That way, she has the money already set aside in a sinking fund when these expenses come up. Sometimes these big expenses can hit your budget all at once, and they really can wreak havoc. Expenses and breaks them down on a monthly basis. That is $133 per month that she needs to set aside for those expenses. So if we're just looking at her monthly expenses and what she's bringing home, it gives a false sense that there's more money there than there actually is. So when we take away the $133 a month that she's going to set aside in a sinking fund for these irregular expenses, that brings her actual breathing room down to $289. Things that I noticed right away with Christine's budget. Number one, her housing expenses are quite high. They account for about 38% of her income. They're really recommended that we keep our housing expenses below 30%. However, context matters here. Christine shared with me that she is going through a little bit of a transition with her housing, and so it just is what it is. We can't do a lot about that one. The second flag in Christine's budget, she has no emergency fund set up. You guys know me, that is an urgent 911 situation in my mind. She has a very small amount of breathing room in her budget every single month. $289 is going to get eaten up with a flat tire or any sort of real, even a minor emergency. Eaten up, and you're going to be forced to put that on credit cards, which I suspect is kind of what's already happening. We're using credit cards to supplement our lifestyle. So that is a huge red flag, and I think that's the number one thing that needs to be dealt with here. She's got to set aside some money for her emergency fund. Third red flag in Christine's budget is that she is using a lot of buy now, pay later. Buy now, pay later is eating up $196 in Christine's budget every single month. And sometimes I think we don't think of buy now, pay later as debt. And I really thought that was interesting because that was not where Christine listed it on her audit. She listed it under other financial obligations, which tells me that she doesn't see it as debt. The reality is that buy now, pay later is debt. It's debt dressed up to look like something else. But Christine's also using Amazon's Afterpay, their version of it. And so in all, there's almost $400 a month out of her paycheck that is going to these buy now, pay later options. We have got to stop using that immediately. So when I wrote out the plan for Christine on what I recommend, number one is to immediately stop using buy now, pay later options altogether. They have got to come out of your budget. They have got to come out of your arsenal of how you pay for things. You have to remove that from your budget. Once she removes that, use the $200 that you have for breathing room in your budget to pay that off as quick as possible. Once you pay that off, that's $400 that is back in your budget that you can use towards your emergency fund. So number two is once she's paid that off, I want her to build up a little emergency fund as fast as she can. So taking that $380 whatever dollars that she's currently paying for buy now, pay later and Amazon's version of that, and using that money to build her 1 month emergency fund. Now, obviously 1 month of emergency is not going to take care of any major emergencies, but it is a starting point. And that's where what we want to do. We want to get to that starting point. Once she's got that emergency fund built up, then we built out a debt plan, how she's going to attack and get out of the credit card debt that she's in, some small wins that she can sort of get through right away. Term goals for Christine is to stop using buy now, pay later. She has to do that immediately In the next 30 days, she's going to open a second account to house her annual expenses in so she can start setting that money aside. And then in the next 30 days, I want her to start tracking her spending. This is a situation where she needs to be tracking her spending. When have very little breathing room, there's very little room for error in your budget, you have to be tracking your spending. And so I recommend that Christine either uses You Need a Budget to start tracking, which is, you guys know, my favorite budget tracking app. Does have a monthly expense to it, however. You don't want something with a monthly expense. There is my annual budget planner. It's a buy once and use it forever type of thing. And that is $29. It's linked in my bio, and that will give her a place to track all of her finances in a place that she doesn't have to pay for on a monthly basis. Christine shared at the very beginning of her audit that she has an impulse shopping problem. My hope is that this audit has brought some awareness to where she is spending her money and has maybe removed some of the overwhelm that comes from getting up from under that. She has a clear plan of what to do next and what order to do them in. If you are interested in your own budget audit, I'd love to work with you, help you figure out where your money is going and create a plan for what you should do next. The link is in my bio.